So we basically took 100 people from on the internet and made them play a bunch of these games every day for a month. So 4,000 rounds of Prisoner's Dilemma in total, which is really, really long. And we wanted to see what would happen to cooperation in the population. And the main thing that we saw is that as contrary to what we would predict, a few nice people actually made everyone else willing to cooperate. I think that's a really hopeful message for the world. It's kind of like, be the resilient cooperator you want to see in the world, and you can make everyone else better off as a result of that. And the idea here was to look at things like open source development, open source software development, and Wikipedia on the internet, where a bunch of people get together and organize themselves to do something complex. And what we studied here is, as we change the size of the team, how does the productivity change, right? We saw that as teams get bigger, it's actually harder for individuals to contribute, and it's harder for them to do something meaningful, but there's also kind of this coordination ability of larger teams that is really important, that allows them to do bigger things than a single person could do by themselves. In social science, we tend to study many problems, but rarely solve them, right? So we kind of are looking at a lot of problems and can characterize them, but we haven't actually led to many policy changes that can actually make the world a better place. So being able to do these experiments, I think, will say, like, what can we do from systems, I guess from like a society perspective, that can actually lower economic inequality or promote cooperation or kind of make the political landscape less polarized. And I think what I'm particularly excited about is the ability to understand like large group behavior and collective dynamics, things that haven't been really studied at the group level. Most of social science experiments are actually done with individuals. It means that in the digital economy, we now have the ability to access human behavior through large-scale data and hopefully draw insights about human behavior, right? And there's both like challenges and there's both benefits and challenges to that. So on the one hand, the benefits are that we can do more data-driven social science, and we have the ability to answer questions that maybe we haven't been able to before, and kind of even look at data that wouldn't have been possible to collect in the past. But there's also many challenges with regard to privacy. Like now a lot of my data is available on Google and Facebook, and they know more things about me than I might even know by myself. Causal inference from observational data is really hard. That's why I particularly like to do experiments, because in experiments, you set up the exact scenario, you kind of apply a particular treatment and look at the results. And that gives you kind of like the cleanest form of causality. So that basically underlies the way that I do most of my work. It's more important to have the right data than big data. So if whether you're doing experiments or not, it's really important to know what kind of questions you want to answer about your data before you go and collect it. Because then you can actually derive causally, like, if I make this decision, will it have the impact I want to make? If you just kind of collect everything about all your customers and try and do something after the fact, you're very unlikely to be able to have any meaningful conclusions there. And that's what companies read. They want to know that if I launch this product or implement this policy, will it improve business? Like, causality is kind of the fundamental unit of being able to make decisions. For example, in many companies, there's a disconnect between the management, what they expect of their data science team, and then like what the data science team is actually doing. That applies to both hiring in terms of like kind of getting the right people that know what they're doing, and also implementing policy, right? For example, in the advertising industry, it's pretty common that advertising executives don't want to hear that their data science team isn't doing what it's supposed to, right? And that results in a kind of miscommunication where the data scientists will just say whatever the executives want to hear, and we're actually not getting to effective policies. So I think there needs to be a tighter connection between like management's understanding of data science and also a better understanding of how to make use of data and kind of not buy into the hype of we just have a lot of data and we're just going to play around with it.